Good morning to all of you not in the East Coast, and good afternoon for those in the East Coast. And welcome to the second in our series of Building Your Practice, Ideas for the Field, from the Field. My name is Alan Sternberg. I'm the Regional Director of the Eastern Region at Illinois Mutual, and I am thrilled this morning and this afternoon to kick off our meeting today. We've got an exciting agenda. We've got some really special guests that are going to share their wisdom. I've been in this business 38 years, and not a week goes by where I don't learn something new. And the things that I learn aren't from a textbook. They're from all of you, agents out there in the field. And that's why we came up with the idea of ideas from the field, for the field, and from the field. Just real quick, everyone will be on mute. You can ask questions. You'll see a chat box on the bottom of your GoToMeeting site there. If you have a question on any specific topics, just please type them in. I'll be monitoring that, and will try my best to get those questions answered after their presentations. So real quick as a review, we're thrilled from the family at Illinois Mutual that you're all attending this meeting. If you're new to Illinois Mutual, welcome. And if you've been with us, thank you again for all your business. Just real brief, Illinois Mutual, we are a 100% agent-driven company. Every one of our writing agents are independent. And we understand that completely. Our day doesn't begin until we speak to an agent, whether we're calling them or we're proactively taking a call from you. If you've worked with us, you'll know that we are a people-friendly company. You can literally pick up the phone and talk to anybody in the company. Specifically, what our agents tell us, the most important thing for them is their direct access to the underwriters, for both on the life and the disability and worksite side. Having the ability to speak to an underwriter about your specific case and helping that case get through is uber important to our agents, and we get that feedback continuously. So we're really thrilled about that, and we're thrilled to have you all here. So enough of me. I'm going to now introduce Jeff Wilson. Jeff is my counterpart in the East. We work a lot together. We do a lot of joint lunch and learns. We share a lot of the same agents. Jeff's been in the business 30 plus years. So right away, you got 60 plus years just between myself and Jeff. He's been with Illinois Mutual 11 years. So he knows the ins and the outs of Illinois Mutual just as well as anybody at the company. And Jeff has gotten one of his top agents to share with us their ideas on supplementing group disability insurance with personal DI. So let me hand that right over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Alan. I guess that means we started when we were, 5 or 6 years old, something like that in the business. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate this. Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. We're excited about our program today, so let me just jump right into it. I have the privilege of introducing a friend of mine and a good business partner, Matt Berard. He's lives just outside of Boston, but he actually began his career back in 1997 with a startup guardian agency out in Seattle, Washington, where in 2 very short years, he grew his DI or their DI production to over $700,000 of premium. So a heck of a job out there. In 2000, he got homesick and relocated back to Boston, where his roots are, and has since run the DI channel and built the largest guardian life and DI firm in all of New England, having insured over 13,000 lives and 1,500 businesses. So a stalwart, very much in that community there, and very well known. He's also, not that he has nothing else to do, he's also very active with the NAIFA chapter up in Massachusetts and serves as the chairperson of the Government Relations Committee for federal and state legislative action. So he has the pulse of what's going on in the industry from a DI perspective. So we're excited to have Matt join us today. And like Alan mentioned, he's going to kind of dig into and unpack how you discuss or what happens when you run into someone, and we all do, that works for a company and the general comment is, as we know, Matt, I have group DI through my work. I don't need private individual DI. So if you could take that and run with it, certainly appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so we all come in contact, and I want to thank Illinois Mutual for putting, the individual disability insurance front and center, because it's a conversation that unfortunately a lot of advisors aren't having with their clients. So today I hope to give you some impactful pointers that may direct you in the right direction with your clients to round out their protection in the event that they have group long-term disability insurance in place. So a lot of advisors that I come in contact with, again, aren't having the conversation. So I'm going to challenge each and every one of you on this call today to begin that conversation. Feel free to reach out to Jeff. He can put you in contact with me. I'm happy to coach you on familiarizing yourself with the language. But with most advisors, when they find out that a client has underlying group LTD in force, they check the box and they move on. And as you're going to quickly learn, that's the wrong thing to do. And the first question I teach advisors, or I ask prospective clients, is a very simple question. If you have underlying group LTD disability insurance, and that's the following. If your boss came to you tomorrow and said they were cutting your pay by 50%, how would that make you feel? So a very simple question to ask prospective clients. If your boss came to you tomorrow and said they were cutting your pay by 50%, Jeff, how would that make you feel?
I would be shocked.
Yeah, it's not going to make people very happy. Well, the reality is the vast majority of plans, 90% of group LTD plans out there in the marketplace today, will put your clients in that very position. But before we get to those 4 questions that I teach all advisors to ask their clients about their underlying group LTD, I want to help properly frame what our clients' tomorrows are actually worth. So Jeff, if you don't mind role playing here with me, whether you're working with a lobsterman who owns a boat, or you're working with a farmer who has a combine or barns, the first thing I attempt to do with all of our clients is I attempt to move what is otherwise an intangible thing, their income or their wealth building potential. I try and create it into a tangible asset. So if you don't mind role playing, Jeff, I'm going to go through a traditional fact pattern. So you're going to be a 35-year-old, all right? And I shared with you the content here. So you're a 35-year-old. The first question I would ask is, what is your current income?
75,000.
75,000. And from our past conversations that we've had here, you're planning on working to 65 or 70 years of age. That's where you would consider yourself, if you do proper planning with the work that we do, you'd consider yourself being financially independent or retired at that point. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so if we look over the next 35 years, on any one of those years, if your current income is 75,000, what do you think your highest wage earning year is likely to be?
$150.
Okay, so would it be fair to say then over the next 35 years that your average income would likely be about $125,000?
That's fair.
So this is the client's, their own words. So I would simply take the 125,000 times 35 years, and that gets me to $4.3 million, just under $4.4 million. And I'll simply ask, here in Boston, a lot of people like boats. So I'll ask them, if you had a $4.4 million boat, would you insure it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what would you pay to insure that $4.4 million boat in the event it caught fire or sank or got damaged because it got hit by another boat or you hit a rock? How much would you pay to insure that?
15,000, 20,000, I don't know.
Yeah, most clients have no idea. So I'll just throw out a word, 15, 20,000. We're in a hurricane zone here in Boston, so you might pay a little bit more. to ensure that $4.4 million asset. But you would do it, right?
Correct.
And so again, have you ever thought of that boat as your ability to earn an income?
No.
No, most clients haven't. But the reality is your tomorrows are that boat and worth potentially $4.4 million. And just as we would insure that boat in the event it got damaged, we should insure your income in the event that you become sick or hurt to protect that economic engine for all of your tomorrows. So that in the event something happens, the insurance company will begin paying you benefits versus your employer. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Now, you're probably wondering, how much is this going to cost?
Yes.
It's not going to cost you $15,000 to $20,000 a year to insure your $75,000 today. It's going to cost you to insure that $4.4 million. It's going to cost you as a male between 2 and 3% of your current income to insure potentially $4.4 million in potential earnings.
Right.
Now, if you're a female, it's 3 to 5%. And if we were doing supplemental disability insurance, meaning you've got some benefits coming in through your employer, through your group long-term disability insurance, and we're going to supplement, I would set the expectation that that's going to cost you between 1 and 2.5% of your current income.
Okay.
But that's going to protect about, it's going to protect about 94% of your current take-home pay by doing so.
Okay.
So that's how, for the advisors on the call here, that's the initial conversation that I have in terms of moving the intangible to the tangible and getting them to understand, we're insuring that combine, we're insuring that barn, we're insuring that boat. But that boat or combine or barn is your ability to earn an income. Getting them that visual and what their tomorrows are worth.
Right.
Okay. And as we go through time, as an advisor, your clients are going to only have 3 choices of what to do with their income on any one year. Do you know what those 3 choices are, Jeff?
Well, save it or spend it, or 2. That's easy. What's the third?
Pay taxes on it.
Sure.
That's it. All of their tomorrows or all of their dollars fall into 3 categories. They can spend it, they can save it, or they can pay taxes on it. And I try and tell clients, by working with me, I'm going to give you permission to spend more money throughout your life, to save more money throughout your life, and spend a lot less in taxes throughout your life. How does that sound?
Interesting. Sounds good.
But before we do that, we need to focus on preserving that economic engine or your ability to go to work each day and earn an income, and make sure that you're properly protected so that in the event of an accident or sickness, you and your family have enough income to pay your mortgage, your utilities, taxes, and groceries. How does that sound?
Perfect. Sounds good.
So coming back to our original conversation about you having group LTD at work, I encounter that a lot. A lot of folks say, hey, I've got group LTD, I'm all set. I've met with 3 other advisors. They say I'm all set because I've got group LTD at work. But the vast majority of folks that I come in contact with, when I do the math, they're going to be earning on their group LTD plan 30 to 40% of their current income. And many of those clients, they tell me when I do the math that that's less than my mortgage, because here in Boston, Massachusetts, average home price is I think it's $875,000 in the Commonwealth right now. So it doesn't take too long. The Midwest isn't that much different. House prices in the Midwest have skyrocketed. The Southeast, the West Coast, we're all in the same boat. So I'm going to, again, focus on that same 35-year-old client who earns $75,000 and is a W-2 employee and has group. So at $75,000 a month, gross income on a monthly basis, that's $6,250. At a 25% tax rate, again, adjusting for federal and state income tax where it's appropriate, that nets them approximately $4,688. So the client believes in their head, because they've met with 3 advisors previous to meeting with me, that they have 60% of their income covered. So in their mind, they say, you know what, Jeff, I'm all set. I've got Group LTD through work. And I'll say, you know, how much do you believe you have? And they know that I have 60%. All right.
Mhm.
So in the best case scenario, you have $3,750 at $75,000 a year at best. But let me ask you the following question. Is the income you're receiving from your employer all base salary, or do you receive bonuses and perhaps restricted stock units or RSUs? How is
Yeah,
your mix, Jeff? What do
it,
you receive?
yeah, there it is a mix. It's the salary is 60,000 and then 15,000 is a typical bonus. So to make the 75.
That's very common these days. And actually, I'm working with a firm in the Midwest right now, just outside of Chicago, and they're a manufacturing production company, and they pay all of their employees salary and bonuses, even the folks on the floor. Now, these are the 4 questions that, as an advisor, you need to ask every client you come in contact with who has underlying Group LTD to educate them on their own plan. So get out a pen.
Okay.
The 4 questions you need to ask an advisor are the following. 1, who is paying the premium?
Okay.
That's first. Who is paying the premium? The second question, what is the definition of covered earnings? So again, what is the definition of covered earnings? And that means, is it base only? Is it base and bonus? Or is it base, bonus, and RSUs? 90% of Group LTD plans out there in the marketplace only cover base salary.
Right.
Okay. The next question, the third question to ask, what is the benefit formula? And that's that 40 or 50 or 60% to a monthly cap of, say, 4,000, 7,500, 5,000, 35,000, I don't know what, whatever. The vast majority of group plans, the percentage of replacement is decreasing, meaning it might have been 60% 20 years ago. We now see a lot of plans with 50% or even 40% now. And then last is the benefit taxable? So even though the employer might be paying the premium, they could put the imputed payback in their employees' pay, so therefore it's a tax-free benefit, or they might not be doing anything. Those are the 4 questions. Who's paying the premium? What is the definition of covered earnings? What is the benefit formula? And is the benefit taxable?
Okay.
So going back to that client who's making $75,000 and is receiving bonuses, we determine after asking those 4 questions and receiving the group benefits book that only base income is covered. And that's $60,000. So that means at $60,000, taking that same tax of, $60,000 is the eligible income that's insured. That's $3,000 per month.
Right.
And we learned that the employer was paying for it. It's a taxable benefit. So as a result of it being taxable, assuming that same 25% in taxes, that means the client is actually receiving, in the event of an accident or sickness, $2,250 per month. So they thought, and they had met with 3 advisors previously, they had thought that they had $3,750. But by literally taking 3 minutes of your time, we've uncovered now that you have $2,250, which is a 48% replacement ratio. In other words, your boss has cut your pay by 50%.
Right.
How does that make you feel, Jeff?
Nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of folks that I meet with, they tell me, you know, that's not enough to meet my mortgage. That's not
Right.
enough to meet my property taxes. That's not enough to meet my insurance on my home. That's not enough to pay my utilities. And I remind them, not to deepen the wound or anything, but I remind them that if they're deriving their health insurance from their employer and there has been a separation of service, meaning they've begun to receive group LTD benefits, which often necessitates a separation of service, that they are responsible for COBRA for their health insurance. So that means they're going to pay 100% of the cost plus roughly a 4% administrative charge.
Wow.
So here in Massachusetts, again, our average family plan is between $1,860 and $2,500 a month.
Just for their health coverage, for COBRA.
Just for their health coverage.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Matt, can I ask a quick question, please?
Sure.
If the initial consultations go well, where do you go from there? What's the next steps?
So the next step is recommending an individual disability insurance policy. So by offering an individual disability insurance policy, they are going to be able, if they're healthy, they are going to, in this situation, qualify for approximately $2,000 of additional benefit. So if we take that individual and add on to that taxable group benefit, the taxable group benefit we determined was $2,250, and the eligible individual is $2,070. That gets us back to $4,320 a month of combined individual and group benefits on an after-tax basis, which improves their replacement ratio to 92%.
Okay.
So we've improved that client's situation substantially from 48% just by relying on the group LTD to 92% with very little effort. So in closing, because I know we've got some other folks that are going to share some impactful information today on behalf of Illinois Mutual, the next steps beyond to ask those 4 questions that I recommend that all advisors gather in terms of the fact gathering is to collect a copy of their group LTD plan document, not the summary, the actual plan document itself. Collect any individual disability insurance contracts that they may have, as well as collect the year-to-date pay stub and last year's W-2 plus a year-end pay stub. And the reason you want that year-end pay stub, it's the only pay stub where everything is itemized on a consolidated pay stub at year-end. And these days, most people who use Workday or Pay whatever, their Paycom systems, they can just go online and download that information.
Perfect. Alan, I know we covered a big topic in a very short period of time. Can I take 2 seconds and just summarize what I kind of gleaned from this, please? Okay, so Matt, I think we'll both agree that we tend to walk away when we hear someone works for a brand name company or a W-2 company, right? And we should not do that. We should always ask, tell me about your paycheck protection plan within your employee benefits package, right? So that kind of hopefully opens the door to further analysis, right? And then the aha pieces, in my vernacular, base only typically doesn't count any bonus or stock that they get, right? The benefit is taxable. And then one thing we didn't talk about, maybe we'll do it another time, is caps for highly compensated employees. All those are aha things that most people don't know, so that's up to us to educate the clients. And then the next thing is obviously create the trust, paint the picture, right? Visual scenarios go a hell of a lot further than numbers on a sheet of paper, right? And then follow through and collect the data and then go from there. Is that fair? Is that a pretty good, quick summary?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Paint the picture, ask the 4 questions, and then gather the documentation and move forward with a solution. Yep.
Sweet. Alan, any questions we want to dig into from the field, or?
There were a couple, but you There were a couple, but you guys just did such a great job. You addressed them. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Jeff Wilson, Matthew Barad, really appreciate it. If you're in the West, contact Jim Cooney. If you're in the Central, Dave Plum, and of course in the East, Jeff Wilson. Three of the finest disability minds in the country when it comes to that product. So thank you both so much. Let's move on. One of the things that I ask agents all the time is, if I could get you more of something, what would it be? And they always say time. And one of the things I learned early in my career was time management and building the perfect work week. And to address that topic is Dan Peterson, the regional sales manager in the Eastern region for life insurance, as well as one of his top agents, Lisa Ware, out of Aberdeen, South Dakota. Dan, do you want to kick that off for us?
You bet. Thank you, Alan. Are we good?
You're good.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alan. First of all, I want to introduce Lisa to you. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. Just to give you some background on Lisa. Lisa, as Alan said, is from Aberdeen, South Dakota, where she lives with her husband, Corey, and their little one-year-old daughter. Lisa actually is like many of us, went to college never thinking that she was going to be in the insurance business, but she got her undergraduate in biology and then went and got her master's in business administration. Lisa started off her career with Modern Woodmen, spent 5 years there, and then she actually joined forces with Wayne Breitag, where she's been with him since 2008. Besides being a mom, she's also the head volleyball coach. So, she's a perfect speaker for today's thing, is managing your time and your calendar, because having a little one working and coaching volleyball sure takes a lot. But and as I mentioned, Lisa works with Wayne Breitag. Wayne is one of our distinguished members of our Agents Hall of Fame with Illinois Mutual. So a lot of the stuff that Lisa does, she picked up from Wayne through the years, and then she's been able to spin it in her own way to make it work for herself. One of the best parts that I find of this job is watching an agent grow. And that's exactly what I've been fortunate enough to be able to do with Lisa over the last 6 years. Is I saw her go from an agent that worked on her own to, having a smaller book of business, to having a very large book of business now, and then in addition having sub-agents underneath her. So she's kind of gone the full spectrum. And I guess, as you can probably guess, between being a mom and in the insurance business, she has a very busy schedule. So I asked her to join us today to give us some insight, kind of how she works her work week, scheduling, that type of stuff, just to get a better idea of, what works for her that will hopefully you'll be able to pick up some information on that will help you as well. So thank you, Lisa, for joining us.
Yeah, you bet, Dan. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for asking me to speak here today. So as Dan mentioned, definitely a very, very busy mom with our little one-year-old. She definitely keeps us on our toes, but my work week actually begins on a Sunday. I start putting together kind of my hot list, my list of clients that I would like to contact. I keep just a desktop calendar or even a calendar through my email that just kind of reminds me of people that, if you do call them up and they say, hey, give us a call next week, we're kind of busy this week, so that I can just go ahead and shove that right into my calendar for next week. My goal every single week is to at least schedule 10 appointments. I feel like this is just a really, really obtainable goal. Of course, that means that, if you don't get 10 appointments right away, you're on the phone nonstop. I scroll through my Facebook, I scroll through Instagram, I scroll through even my contacts on my phone just to make sure that I get all the people that I really want covered and reached out to. So again, ultimately my week kind of it starts on a Sunday, just because with having a one-year-old and being busy with volleyball and practice, I understand that I do have to make sure that I'm allotting that time and making sure that my schedule is open to schedule those appointments.
So when you when you think about it, you know, as you mentioned, your perfect week, you know, having those 10 appointments, do you do time blocking? And, you know, in terms of, I know you have, you know, when I first met you, you know, ran your own agency, didn't have sub-agents. Now you have sub-agents. You know, time blocking as far as helping them, you know, learn to grow their business while you're at the same time growing your own business.
Yeah, but that's really important too. Just to make sure that the agents under you, you know, are getting that correct training, that they're doing phone calls, that, you know, on some days I'll walk into the office and say, you know what? It's a good day to make phone calls, and we'll do that, you know, sometimes in the mornings, we'll do that in the afternoons. Wayne is here every single Friday, and we just know that, you know, we're going to gain some valuable information from Wayne being here on Friday. So we do kind of allot that time and that blocking off on time. When I do make my phone calls, I do really try to kind of sporadically, if I make them in that regards. What I do is I will make them in the morning sometimes, and then if I can't get a hold of certain people, then let's try nights, let's try afternoons, even Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings are a great time to reach people. Sunday evenings, I do try to kind of respect their time on Sunday evenings, but I'm still trying to kind of put my schedule together, just my list of who I want to contact, even on a Monday morning. But again, Saturday mornings are a great time to contact people.
Thanks, Lisa. And so really kind of what it comes down to is your day starts on Sunday night by mapping out what the rest of your week kind of is going to look like. Might not necessarily be making the appointments, but at least you have a head start going into Monday morning that you're not making that list to go through, you know, what you're going to do. You already have that already predetermined.
Correct. Yep. I like to get a jump start on it, and it just makes, you know, it makes me feel better about my week and know that it's going to be a productive week by starting on a Sunday. That's kind of when everything gets going, and I'm already starting to think about my work week. I understand that, you know, Sundays are family times, but once we get our little one down, I'm already starting to think about my work week, who I need to contact, who I need to follow up with. If there's a hot list, I make a hot list because I know that we're ready to write.
Yep. And besides, you know, I know, you know, in addition to selling life insurance with us, you do annuities, you do, you know, Medicare supplement, you kind of do everything but P&C, even though the agency you're with does P&C. Do you have a way that you do it in terms of certain times that you want to focus on life versus annuities versus Medicare supplement? I know the supplement season, you know, it's obviously very busy for you, but the rest of it?
You know, that's a good question too. I do a lot of health insurance too. What Wayne has really stressed is taking this form, and it's a fact finder, and literally checking off all the boxes. You know, DI, I mean, we're constantly asking them even about DI too, but just take a fact finder and go through that checklist and ask them about anything and everything on that list. A lot of times, you know, they will go ahead and say, well, I have life insurance through work. Well, did you know that it won't, you know, in the event that you do become disabled, you leave your job, you know, a lot of times they don't know these type of things. So that opens up a whole nother conversation with them. So even just taking a simple fact finder and going through one by one, I've never had anybody object to it. And it's just a really good way to make sure you're covering all of your bases and that you're doing your due diligence in there and getting them everything that they need.
Yep, exactly right. And the last question I had for you, Lisa, is, you know, being in Aberdeen, South Dakota, you know, you work a lot with farmers. You know, that's a large book of your business. And we, you know, being Midwesterners here, we understand that there's certain times of the year they're kind of on the do not touch list. You know, planting, harvest season, and that. How do you work around that? Do you focus on other clients that aren't farmers, you know, during that time of the year?
Yeah, so during that time of year, when we know that they're busy, either they're farming, they're planting, they're calving, they're Wayne and I understand there is a really, really small window, and that's really where I utilize my calendar a lot. And I know when I have to contact them. So I'll follow up with Wayne and say, you know, this family, so and so, when do I need to contact them? And you'll say, you know what, you got literally 2 days, you need to contact them. We just had one of our really big clients here. They just got back from Texas, and we called him yesterday, and he said, yep, if you can come tomorrow. Well, that's our very, very small window to go. So we just we understand their lifestyle, and during those type of busy seasons, that's when we really concentrate on the other people. Of course, summer, then there's going to be kids' activities, things like that. But if I have to go on a weekend to an appointment, I'm definitely going.
Yep, and that's one thing I talk to a lot of agents and, that are working on perpetuation plans, how to grow. And I tell them about you and Wayne and just say, she's a young lady, a mom. She's not afraid to work weekend appointments, and that's hard to find with people. So we appreciate it. I know Wayne does, but I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today, and I'll turn it back over to Alan.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Real quick, there were 2 questions that came up, Lisa. You could quickly address these. One, and you may have already talked about it. Do you have a dedicated admin day or admin hours? And the second question was holiday season, summertime, a lot of vacations. What are you doing to get to that 10 appointments per day per week goal of yours?
Yeah, so that first question, kind of an admin day. I really do sometimes dedicate Mondays or Mondays mornings of my paperwork day, my service days, things like that. Honestly, some people just don't want to be on the phone on Monday mornings. Personally, sometimes I don't want to be on the phone Monday mornings, setting up appointments. So maybe Monday evenings might be just a better time to contact them, or even Tuesday mornings. I really kind of play with my weeks as far as when I should make phone calls. Sometimes it's going to be in the morning, sometimes afternoons. Again, even a Saturday morning. I do make evening calls too once we get our little one to bed. So that's kind of how I utilize, kind of those admin days. But Monday mornings are usually, kind of a time to get all my service work done and applications and things like that. And then as far as just activities and things like that, I'll sit there and make a list, and of course, some weeks are, things over Thanksgiving, Christmas. Sometimes those are just really hard to get 10 appointments just because there are holidays in there, but it's just all about it's a numbers game. You just got to keep on making the phone calls, keep on calling, dialing. Yep, I'll just go through my lists, and as soon as I have those 10 appointments, then I'll move on to the next week. It's a numbers game.
That's perfect. It goes to the number one sales idea that I could ever think of, and it's called ask, right? Mm-hmm. Always seek knowledge, always ask. Yep. You're never going to get anywhere in life unless we ask for the appointment, ask for the sale. Thank you both so much. That was just perfect. Perfect conversation about the perfect work week. So we appreciate it. On to our next. And I grew up in a system that talked about holistic planning, and our first speaker, Matthew Barad, can probably associate this. Holistic planning means, as one GA used to tell me, don't leave any sales on the table, whether or not you're an expert in that particular area or not. Ask the questions. We can always bring somebody in on the case to help you. And that's a perfect segue to our next topic, worksite marketing. This is a great opportunity for everyone on this call to expand their practice and gain dollars that they may not be already getting by working with somebody in this market. And we've been blessed to bring on Scott Nielsen to work with us here at Illinois Mutual. He's excited about our products. Talk to the audience here about how to even approach a business owner about worksite marketing.
To be here. Thank you for having me, Alan, Michael. Excited to talk to you about worksite marketing, but also really cross-selling as well. So basically, I've been in the industry for a little over 30 years now. all in the worksite, and it's NIE, by the way, NIE as well. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really.
Happens all the time. Yeah, I got one of those names. But you know, Michael Smith, he and I have been talking a lot about this. And I know that a lot of you on this call sell individual, life, disability. Some of you also venture into the worksite marketing. But there's just so much opportunity. And I love, Alan, you actually just said, don't leave any cells on the table. Okay, and so worksite, even if you're only selling individual right now, worksite is an opportunity for you to come in and grab some extra cells and really enhance what you're doing out there. In fact, before we get officially into the worksite side of it, individual, anytime you're selling an individual, you want to be asking the questions, where do you work? Where does your spouse work? Okay, you find out where they work, you find out where their spouse works. Tell me about the benefits they offer at your job. Tell me about the benefits at your spouse's job. Who is the employer? And are you okay if I mention your name when I give them a phone call? Okay, what are you doing now? You are taking the cold prospecting and turning it into a warm prospecting market. Okay, another question I like to ask if you're selling individually is, tell me about your retirement plan. Okay, a lot of workers out there have you know, 150,000 in a 401k plan, you know, 500,000 in a 401k plan. Opportunity for you to not ask them to pay any premiums, but turn it into a fixed index annuity. Okay, you turn it into a fixed index annuity. What are you doing? You're diversifying their portfolio. You don't have to do the whole thing, but in an uncertain world, you know, you are not only providing them with a service, you're not leaving any cells on the table, and you're making a tremendous income by just finding out what else they're doing. Okay, let's head to the work site for just a second.
Hey, Scott, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I shut down from a microphone standpoint. Obviously, you could see me because I could hear you. But if I may, just bookmark that thought if you don't mind. All right, thank you. Scott Nielsen, S-E-N, I think is what you said, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I heard that properly. Yes, and I don't know if you said this, but I'm going to say it. 20 years with Aflac, running the Pacific Northwest. Thousands of agents under tutelage, hire, train, motivate, and bring to successful careers. Followed by VP of the Pacific region for Colonial Life for 10 years. That's where I met Scott in that role, and we worked together. I was always impressed with his strategic mind, but also drive it right down into the tactical level. So much so that over a 30-year period, Scott, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but you're over $1 billion in new sales in voluntary benefits, which parlayed nicely into a lot of individual benefits as well, which is what we're here to talk about. So forgive me for not doing all that in the beginning, and if I repeated some of that stuff, my bad. But really the most important thing, Scott, to me is now you're independent. You went out on your own and created the Benefits House, partnering with two other industry leaders. The three of them have different experiences in the industry, individual health insurance, individual life insurance, individual disability insurance, supplemental benefits, all combined now in the Benefits House. So forgive me for coming in late, but why don't you tell us maybe, before you go any further, a tiny bit about the Benefits House and why you went that route?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Michael. So the Benefits House, we're a nationwide brokerage general agent. And the reason we went that way is we wanted to set up a system with all of the top VB carriers. With Illinois Mutual is a big one that we partner with, where we can provide a plug and play system where whether it's a 10-person company, a 100-person company, or a 10,000-person company, that it is a plug-and-play system that you can provide the benefits without having to go out and do all the legwork yourself. You're working with a team instead of on your own. And then we've also brought a lot of value adds through workman's comp, through PEOs, through retirement planning, through Medicare, where you can get a leg into the employer, because there's a lot of pain points with employers these days. And if we can get in to the employer and we can solve one of those pain points, you know what? We have an opportunity, once we solve one of those pain points, to not leave any business on the table, and that will just expand into taking over some other parts of their benefits. And
Scott, could I ask a question about that? So when you say not leaving anything on the table, I just immediately comes to mind, you have a business owner, you have a key employee, you have a partnership of a business, key man insurance, buy-sell agreements. Is that what you're talking about specifically?
That's part of it. That's part of it. So let me share a couple of things with you. You get in front of an employer, or you're in the process of scheduling, or you're attempting to schedule an employer presentation to get in front of an employer to offer benefits. These are the things that you want to ask an employer. Do you offer any type of worksite benefits? Or you could phrase it as what benefits do you offer, to get a general idea of what the company offers. If they already offer worksite benefits, I like to say, are you willing to take these out to bid? Are you willing to see if there's other companies that can save you money on these products? Illinois Mutual, I know, can a lot of times save money on the products.
Yeah, Scott, that's a perfect thing to point out, right? Because I do think, we have a lot of folks on this call, and probably 75% of their practices are individual businesses, right? Or individual products. So if I'm selling life insurance, I probably should be minding my book and seeing where those key man or, buy sell clients of mine are, to start having that conversation with those folks. Same thing with, Matthew talked earlier about the disability group versus individual, that there's so much overlapping, it seems like. Scott, is that how you developed your company? Why you developed your company that way?
You hit on a great point, Michael, because you go into that company now, you're able to get their worksite benefits. Now you're able to sell that key man, you're able to sell that life insurance to all the executives, if it's a smaller company, the business owner, the key employees, and you've opened up a whole nother market for yourself. And then one of the things I love about it is now you're working off of referral only as well, versus going out and just beating the phones every day, trying to cold call and maybe walk, whatever you're doing for your marketing.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, I can distinctly remember working with a worksite account. It was 90 employees in Chicago, and they were consultants for law firms, these 90 employees, and they had 10 key executives that were 250,000 or more, but their group benefits only paid 7,500 in DI per month. So the CFO asked me, he goes, "Do you sell individual disability?" Yes was my answer. I didn't, but yes was my answer. We parlayed that into a list bill of 10 key employees that made over $250,000. The premium was $120,000 a year, and that was a 50% commission just by saying yes. So I fully understand what you're saying there.
Right. So the thought process on this is just to kind of expand your thinking. I know everyone, you find your groove, you get settled into that groove, but can you expand your thinking to really capture more of the marketplace, to capture more of the benefits? And I think that's the important message here is what can you do to work smarter, not harder? And that's the crux of the whole thing, because there's so much opportunity. And when you're out in work site, if you do a good job for them, if you save them money on their health insurance, you save them money on their workman's comp, you do a good job providing them VB benefits, you know what? That can lead to you taking over the health insurance. If that's something you're interested in, that can lead to taking over all of their benefits. You can do as much or as little of it as you want to do. And that's back to your question early on, Michael, that's what we set the benefits house up for, is to be able to, you can just go down the one road, or you can be all encompassing. And that's what I love about this business.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. And thank you for opening, the eyes a little bit more. And I think you said it right. It's just thinking outside the box a little bit, being open-minded towards who you're talking to and where that could lead. And then Alan said it the best, asking the questions, right? So
right.
With that, Alan, I don't know if you have any questions in the chat box, but for the sake of time, we only have a few minutes left. So I don't want to take up people's times past the end of the hour. So I'll throw it over to you for second there, Alan.
We actually do have a couple of questions, and this could be for all three product lines. Where can agents find the fact finders for DI, life, and worksite?
So say that one more time. Where can they find what?
The fact finders for disability, worksite, and life insurance. And the answer to that would be our agent forum through the Resource Center. Some asked if we could send those out. We can certainly. What we'll do is distribute the names of all the people that registered, and see if we can get out some sort of blast email back out with those fact finders. The other question regarding worksite, when it comes down to actually after the sale's made and we get to the enrollment period, what kind of resources are available to the agents in regards to that?
Okay,
Michael, I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh yeah. I know with the benefits house, our resources, we can do any type of enrollment online, call center, enroll over a Zoom meeting, one-on-one at the work site, and Michael, Illinois Mutual, probably the same.
Yeah, for sure. And Scott, to that point, Illinois Mutual, we have a internal team. We have one point of contact, so you're going to be assigned to an internal person, not only yourself, but your accounts, your agency. If you have an agency, you have one point of contact for worksite. We do have a regional sales manager that couldn't be with us today. This was his slot, and his microphone probably would have worked. But he goes out in the field and trains. Why he's not here? He's actually at an enrollment in Ohio, and it's just a 50 life group. But it's a new agent with us. So we wanted to make sure everything went smooth. They'll probably write $50,000 or $60,000 in premium in that one account, small account, but the employer is paying for some of those benefits. But yeah, we have the platform, Scott. We got the support, and when we have big accounts like a 2,200 life account that's going on right now in West Virginia and Virginia, we've got resources to help you bring in other benefit advisors to help with that account. Give up a little bit of comp, but you're spreading wider and getting more premium in. So great question, Alan. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's Scott. I want to apologize for as a fan of music and Cheap Trick. I think you spell your name the same way as the guitarist for Cheap Trick. So I apologize for that.
No big deal. No big deal.
So I want to thank. Well, let me summarize this. By the way, one of the comments on the chat box came up. Hey, can we expand this meeting to 75 minutes or even 90? And that's certainly something we can consider because there is a lot of information here. But let me just summarize really quick. Building your practice. That's what it's all about. Is how can Illinois Mutual help agents move their practice to the next level? And that was the genesis of these calls. And the idea came up, we could all get up there from a regional, home office basis and talk to this stuff. But no, we wanted it from the field and for the field. So this is your meeting. So one of the things that I will ask is that when you email your regional or email me or however you want to do it and communicate, let us know your thoughts about what topics you want to hear about on our next call. And our next call will be June 20th. So we do these on a quarterly basis. So the what next is please, we're looking for topics that are of interest for you. And the other thing is, this is for the field and from the field. So if you're interested in sharing your ideas and experiences, contact your regional, and maybe you two can pair up and be on this call and share those practices. You know, again, I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of years of experience here. I've been in this business 38 years. Every sales idea that I speak to, the holistic planning, the ask, and everything that we talk about, it's me just shining up the wheel. You know, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just shining it up and making it mine. And I get those ideas, though, from all of you. What has made you successful? And then I try to convey that to the agents that I speak to. And I know the other regionals that I work with here at Illinois Mutual do the same thing. So we're always interested in hearing about what's working, what's not working, and how we can improve. So we really appreciate the fact that you all spent an hour of your time tells us that you're investing in your business, and that's such an encouraging sign. We really appreciate your attendance here. We appreciate your business. You know, again, Illinois Mutual is an agent-focused company. It's agent first. Nothing happens in our day until your day begins. So with that, I want to thank again Matthew, Lisa, and Scott, and everyone within the home office to help make this thing happen. We really appreciate it. And good luck to you all, and we'll see you on June 20th. Mark your calendars. Thank you again. Take care, everybody.